Life on Tap, which is very exciting. Thank you all for coming out, and thank you to everyone who has come out to Life on Taps throughout the year. And I hope you all have enjoyed all of them and learned something new, and possibly found a new career, possibly found a new contact and done some networking, etc. So tonight it is going to be all about law, and we have two of our esteemed lawyer alumni with us this evening. And I'm trying to think of anything else I needed to tell you. If you are a senior, I would love to know what you're doing next year, because I want to help you if you're not sure. And if you do know what you're doing, I would love to know that as well, just so I can keep track. And when people ask me, what are the seniors doing next year, I will have answers for them. I would greatly appreciate it. So, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers. Okay, first up, we have, which you might have to correct something, Don. I think I have an incorrect date. Don Goodman graduated in 2003, went immediately from Christendom to William and Mary Law School. Since his graduation and passing the bar in 2006, he has been a criminal prosecutor in Martinsville from 2003 to 2013? 06 to 2013, and since then in Loudoun County, where since 2014 he has focused on prosecuting domestic violence and sex crimes. Joseph Mazzara graduated in 2008, served 6 years as an artillery officer in the Marine Corps before attending the Antonin Scalia Law School at George Mason University. He is a practicing military attorney for the Marine Corps National Capital Region, as well as for the Marine Corps Reserves. So, give Don a round of applause and welcome him to the stage.
As you may or may not know, I'm a lawyer. We're good at nothing if it's not talking. But they're going to tell us, they told us to keep it down to about 15 or 20 minutes, so if it starts dragging on, start waving your hands and I'll close it off. As you just heard, I'm from the class of 03. I was, is this reverberating, or is that just the acoustics in the room? Y'all can hear me okay? Good, all right. Graduated in 03, went to William and Mary in Williamsburg, which is a Tier 1 law school, so it's a good law school. Still had some trouble finding a job after law school, to be perfectly frank, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But ended up heading down to Martinsville, Virginia, which is in the South Side. Anybody know where it is? NASCAR people might know. See, there you go. It's a town of about 13,000 people. 50 if you count Henry County, that's about 50 miles south of Roanoke. So I was there for 7 years, give or take, and was a criminal prosecutor there. After about a year, you knew every single person there was. They all knew you. They got mad at you when you prosecuted their kids. It was a fun experience. It was a great experience, salt of the earth kind of people. But my wife is from Prince William County. Her dad started getting sick, so we started looking for some work up here, and I started at Loudoun County, where I've been since. And then in 2014, I switched over to do domestic violence and sex crimes, and have been doing that since. So we were asked to make a couple of points about what brought us to Christendom and what brought us into the law after Christendom. So what brought me to Christendom was pretty easy. I had just come back to the faith sometime in the mid-90s or so, and Christendom seemed like what I wanted, and I actually applied early decision. I said if I don't get in there, I'll worry about where I go after that, and got in. So that was lucky. What led me to law was actually a professor who's no longer here, Christopher Bloom. He was great, and he encouraged me to consider the law as a career based on some of the writing of mine he'd read, and he was my history. I was a history major. He was my advisor. He'd read a lot of my writing, and thought that it sounded very lawyerly, I guess. I still almost didn't go. I almost didn't bother going to the LSAT, but I ended up doing that. My then fiance, now wife, actually finished most of my law school applications for me, because at that point it was coming to the end of December, and I thought, I don't really want to go. So let's finish them up just in case. And ended up going. So that's really what brought me into law from Christendom. It wasn't any sense of a profound calling. It was sort of tripped into it, really. I did do my thesis on Thomas More, which we can talk a lot more about that if anyone's interested later. So as I said, since then I've been a prosecutor. If you've has anybody, or how many of you are actually interested in pursuing law? Can we get a bunch of people? Well, how many of you have actually read any of the law school admissions stuff? No, it's nonsense. Ignore it. They give you these grandiose predictions about where you're going to work and what your average annual salary is and things like this. It's nonsense. It is. I'll say it's heavily skewed by a few graduates who make a whole ton of money. So if you're going into this for because you think it'll be a guaranteed ticket to financial security, look somewhere else. It may end up being that for you, but it might not. But if you're going into it because you want to make a big difference to people in some of the most vulnerable or most difficult parts of their lives, it can be a great career choice. I'm a criminal prosecutor, so I make a big difference in a lot of people's lives. Some people because they're going to prison. Some of them really need to go to prison. But also, and there is some satisfaction in that. I'm certainly not going to lie when you get the guy who threw his baby across the room and killed her, and you get to watch them take him into the back. That's a great feeling. It really is. Then there are the times where you lose, and somebody got shot, and they're dead, and their family's hurting, and you can't prove your case. And you either take it to trial and you lose, and you have to explain to them what happened, or you tell them no, you can't take it to trial, and they think that you're giving up on them. That's tough. There's the kids who have been victimized, particularly in my specialty for the last 4 or 5 years. Needless to say, that can be a very difficult thing. And you have not known heartbreak until a mother whose daughter has been hurt looks you in the eye and tells you that you failed her little girl, and that can happen. On the other hand, I've had victims after trials come up with big hugs and tell me that I made them want to be lawyers. I've been able to bring some closure, some satisfaction, and some justice to a lot of people, and so that's something that it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe the spiritual and emotional rewards that can give you. So if that's something you're interested in doing, and it's not just criminal. That's certainly not only true in criminal law. You can do family law, where you're helping families adopt children, where you're helping injured people who to settle themselves so that they'll be able to support themselves after being unable to continue whatever their previous career was. We tend to run into people at their very worst moments, and we can be a real force for good in their lives. So that's what I would say ought to be your motivation if that's what you're interested in pursuing. So, gosh, I think I went way less than 20 minutes. That's only about 10. So I'll turn it over to what's your Joe? I meant your rank. I was going to be formal. To Joe. Okay. Especially since it's being recorded.
Well, so if you only took 10 minutes, does that mean I get 35, 45? This is great. It's going to be awesome. You get to listen to me, which will be basically like listening to my brother Michael talk for 45 minutes. I'm sure that's an experience that's, common. I'm going to put my timer on. An idea where I am. All right. So, first of all, I want to start out by saying that I absolutely love being a lawyer, okay? Number one, I love being a lawyer. I've only been a lawyer 2 years, haven't been a lawyer for quite so long as Don, Mr. Goodman. Saul Goodman's brother, just kidding. Better call Saul? No? Okay, that's all fine. I'll move on. So, he's been an attorney for 13 years. He's been a prosecutor doing a lot of good work. I've been an attorney for 2 years, okay, and I've been a defense attorney for the last 2 years. So while he's putting guilty people in jail, I'm keeping innocent people out of jail, all right? So, but before I go on with some of my quasi-prepared remarks while I was sitting down over there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these 9 specific questions that I was told to prepare for tonight, all right? So, Kristen, she said, hey, when you get up there and talk, try to hit on these 9 different things. Hit on all of them, hit on one of them, I don't really care. I'm going to hit on all 9 of them because I've got 45 minutes to talk to you. So, buckle up, all right? So, first of all, it says, first question is, what's my path to Christendom and why did I choose Christendom? All right, I'll tell you why I chose Christendom. The ladies, to be perfectly honest, came here, I was like, you know what? These women are great, they're wholesome. And in fact, I found one, my wife, who also did a large proportion of my law school application. So, let's see, while at Christendom, what were some opportunities that I took advantage of which benefited me today in my position? Okay, so when I was here, I did not take as much advantage of the opportunities that Christendom provides you as I ought to have, all right? The poli-sci department has this, at least when I was here, they had a practicum. There were, the Cincinnatus League, things like that. I was too busy wooing my wife because I knew that I would never get into law school or the Marine Corps without her, okay? So filling out those applications. And so what I did take advantage of my senior year was a group of us came together and founded the Chester Belloc Debate Society, all right? And I am not kidding. The experiences that I had in the Debate Society, getting up there and talking, however poorly, okay, it doesn't matter. This is a chance to practice getting up and talking in front of people, all right, has just had a profound impact, okay, on my ability to perform in the courtroom. So, in the Marine, I'm a Marine. I've been, like Kristen said, I've been a Marine for a while, okay, since 2008. I've only been a lawyer 2 years. So in the Marine Corps, we handle some criminal cases. I've not done anywhere near as many criminal cases as Mr. Goodman, okay? I've done 4 trials in the last 2 years, okay? But I've also done a lot of, in the Marine Corps, we're called administrative separation boards or boards of inquiry. Basically, the Marine Corps is trying to fire a Marine, all right? And these are very much like a trial. These are very much like a trial. And you get up there, you got to give an opening and closing, right? Opening is like, this is why this guy is innocent or shouldn't be kicked out of the Marine Corps. And then you get to cross-examine witnesses, which is kind of like what you see on TV, but even cooler because it's me doing it. And then you have your closing argument for, again, why should this guy remain in the Marine Corps, okay? And you're just on your feet a lot, talking a lot, and sometimes, especially at the back end of trials, at the back end of these boards, I've done about 50 of these boards, at the back end, you've got to do some things on the fly because of how, the evidence comes out. Okay, this is probably, hopefully, this may or may not be getting to you, but the point is that my experience in the debate society, where you're up there and you're talking about things that you may or may not actually know about, probably not know about. Okay, what you're doing though is you're getting practice, come up with things on the fly to respond to arguments and ideas from other people. All right, I'm going to move on to point number 3 here. Hold on. While at Christendom, were there any particular classes or skills that you gained which have aided you in particular? Okay, so this doesn't necessarily have to deal with being a lawyer, but I do want to tell you, do not be too cynical about your professors. At least when I was here, there's a lot of cynicism going around. These professors know what they're talking about, all right? They know what they're talking about, all right? Don't be cynical about them. And if you have a professor that you do like, take that. Try to take every single class you can possibly take with them. Okay, when I was here, I took every class I possibly could with Dr. Marshner. I took every class I possibly could with Dr. Cutterback, okay? And I still look back at those classes and the things that I learned in my profession. So I did actually prepare some remarks for tonight. I live an hour and a half away, and I was in DC all day, and I forgot my notes at home, so I can't quote to you Aristotle, or anything like that. Well, I wish I could. There are my notes, which the dog also ate. But take, classes with professors that you like. And I tell you what, Dr. Cutterback too, fantastic professor, all right? Read his blog as well. Bacon from acorns or acorns from bacon or something. Because, the education you get here, just the way you will be thinking when you come out of here, you're going to far outstrip most of the other people you meet, okay? Your decision, your engagement with ideas, okay? Assuming you don't become cynical by the time you graduate, but your engagement with ideas, your desire to learn the truth, right? That's what the education here is about getting to, okay? As long as you're going to go out and you're going to encounter people who really don't care about those things, all right? And as long as you can kind of maintain that fire, hopefully you can draw them too, right? Like one of those little zap lighters, like little flies that get zapped by the truth. Yes. Anyway, you be one of those. But take the education here is just don't waste your time, okay? Don't waste. Have fun while you're here, but I tell you what, take as many classes as you can. Because you'll never get anything like this again. Now, what suggestions do you have for them, that's you, while they are students to prepare for this type of position? I want to come back to that one. Join the debate society. Well, go to debates, and then, maybe they'll invite you. How important is it that they think about what they want to do post-graduation as early as possible? Okay, here's a good one. How important is it for you to think about what you want to do post-graduation as early as possible? I would say it's very important, okay? Extremely important, excruciatingly important. Me, when I was a freshman, all right, I started dating my now wife, okay, about a week in, and about 4 weeks later, I was like, hey, actually, more like 4 or 5 months later, early spring semester, freshman year, I was like, hey, I'm going to marry you when we graduate. I was really creepy back then. And she said to me, she's like, hey, I'm not going to marry anybody that's not wearing a uniform. It's got to be a Marine uniform. So I was from freshman year, knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that was become a Marine. So, which is what I did. And then a month after I graduated, get commissioned. And then a month later, I got married to my wife, and the mother of our 5 children. But why is it important to think about what you want to do post-graduation as early as possible? All right. So, first of all, what you do post-graduation might not be what you expect to be doing, your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, or 5 years out from graduation. You're still looking for a job. Just kidding. So it's important because then you can start organizing your activities. Okay, you can start organizing your activities. I know it's tough, but it doesn't really require that much work. You can organize your research. Like, okay, well, what are the kind of classes I need to take if I want to get this kind of X kind of degree after I graduate? Well, history. If you want to get a master's in history, maybe it'd be a good idea to get a history degree. Okay, major in history. It also allows you, for example, with law school. Okay, with law school, there are in schools like that, or medical school. Okay, these trade. They're trade schools. Okay, what it allows you to do is learn the timelines. Like, okay, well, I might want to be a lawyer. We'll start looking up on the timelines now and how to apply, because it's not just like college, right? You're in high school. Okay, you kind of know what's going on. Like, oh, I know I have to take the SAT. My school or my parents are helping me out and figure all that out to take the SAT and do these essay things. Well, now you're basically on your own, unless you have, somebody like my wife or his wife, and you're on your own. And you got to figure out these timelines. Okay, you have to take the LSAT. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for. It's just a test you got to take to get into law school. All right, so you got to know the timelines of that. You might want to retake the LSAT. Okay. On top of that, you might want to look at your grades and look at your performance and say, all right, maybe I don't want to go, hang out quite as much. I'll still hang out and have fun, but maybe I'll work a little bit more on studying because I want to get into a good law school, right? And this is actually what's very important. So with law in particular, grades matter a lot with some caveat to that, which I'll get to in a minute, but grades matter a lot. Your grade on the LSAT, your undergraduate grades, especially if you're going to go straight to law school. all right, with minimal time in between, okay, a year or two out, minimal work experience. And so if you want to do something like that, it matters as to what law school you get into. There are about 200 law schools, all right? And what law school you go to absolutely matters. And then how well you do in law school absolutely matters. And how well you do in law school is also going to be in part depend on your habits, your study habits, also your flexibility, because law school is unlike any sort of academics you'll ever do prior to law school. When you get to law school, guess what? There aren't these little, there aren't midterms, there are some classes when you get to your 2L and 3L year where you're writing papers, but for your first year, which is the year that matters most in law school, every class only has one graded event, the final exam. The final exam, that's it. So one grade, 100% of your grade, that one exam, okay? So you also have to have some learn how to be kind of flexible with how you study and how you think about things. I think Christendom actually prepares you really well for that, better than a lot of colleges, in my personal opinion. Let's see, number 6. How have you seen your education come into use in your position? Okay, as a lawyer. All right, obviously these are standard questions. So, how has my Christian education, hold on, come into use? Well, all right, words mean things, okay? Words mean things. Now, I'm in the Marine Corps, so I do a little bit more. My practice as a lawyer, in part, deals with what are known as regulations or agency regulations. Okay, that's that when you're trying to fire someone from the Marine Corps, you do it pursuant to these they're called orders in the Marine Corps, but they're considered agency regulations or regulations. Kind of like the Environmental Protection Agency makes regulations about the rainwater in your yard and things like that. Okay, and so you have to make arguments. You have to make arguments of how to interpret. Okay, how to interpret these regulations. All right, you got to make arguments about what does this sentence actually mean, and how does this sentence, which was kind of created by a bunch of people just thinking about things, how does that actually affect decision making? How does it actually affect how we're going to decide this particular case given the facts that have been presented to us? Okay, whether we should do A or B, whether we should kick this guy out. Whether we should kick this guy out with an honorable characterization of service, where he gets all his benefits, or an other than honorable, this is military law, characterization of service, where he gets none of his benefits, and will have a problem having a job later on. Okay? So you've got to be able to take these words, and be able to translate them in an effective, persuasive way. You got to translate and convey your interpretation, all right, whether you're on the prosecution side or whether you're on the side of the defense. All right, it's the same thing. I'll get to that. I'll get to that now. I'll get to that now. Okay. Something about the practice of law that I think is incredibly fascinating that I think you should think about. Maybe, I don't know if it's like contemplation. I think Dr. Cuddeback does this thing where he's like, contemplation is like, just look. Just seeing, okay? But so I don't mean it in that sense, but you should contemplate this, okay? When you go into a well-constructed church, you walk in, okay, and you go in and you see up at the altar, you see an altar rail there, all right? And when, the priest is celebrating ad orientem, he's celebrating with his back to the people, right? No, he's celebrating focused on, he's celebrating focused on God. Okay, so he's looking with the people towards God. Now, just picture that in your mind. What the priest is doing, in many ways, okay, he's an advocate, okay? All right, just like in confession, but particularly it's kind of like very real there, at the Mass. All right, he's the pontifex, you know, the bridge or the bridge builder between us and God, okay? God who is whom? The judge. All right, yeah, he has mercy, but he's also the judge. All right? When you go into a courtroom, courtrooms are designed exactly the same way. All right? You walk into the courtroom, you got the pews, okay, where all the guilty people sit. Okay? Everybody's guilty of something. All right? Not everybody gets prosecuted. Because not everybody gets caught. Okay? Or there's not enough evidence, you know, partially, Mr. Goodman. Okay, but you got the pews, and then what do you have? What do you have before the judge, right? The judge is facing you. The judge is facing you. Like the tabernacle, staring you down, all right? In the church. You know, hey, if you don't believe me, just go to the church. You'll see it. It's right there in the middle. Staring you down, there's an altar rail up there, okay? All right, facing you. And then what do you have for the people? Okay, you have somebody like Mr. Goodman, all right, who represents the people. All right, and then you also have somebody like me who represents the individual, advocating on their behalf. All right, he's advocating for relief for the people. Okay, my enemies encompass me about, right? That's one of the Psalms, right? Our enemies have hurt this person. All right? You know, please give us, some justice, but also give us some mercy. Like, look how we have been harmed. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, my dude's innocent. didn't do nothing. All right? Okay? He's innocent. I'm advocating for him. Or even if he did, hey, give him some leniency here. Show some advocacy. Show some equity. Show some mercy. All right? And, of course, we are facing the judge up there. And we are facing the judge in front of the bar. Okay? There's actually a website which you should go to. Just keep in mind a lot of writers there are liberal, but it's called Above the Bar. Right? When we take the exam to become lawyers, right? After you go through law school, you got to go through this extraordinarily hellish experience of studying for the bar, okay, in a given state. All right? So when you're studying for this bar for months, I mean, it's just huge pain and depressing because you feel like your whole life, like everything you've done up to that point in your life, like everything comes to this one stupid 2-day test. And but it's called the bar, okay, the bar exam, so that you can practice where? Above the bar. What does it mean to practice above the bar? It means for you can practice as an advocate, okay? Now it's not coincidental that courtrooms are in many ways designed like churches, okay? It's not, okay, because you do a lot of the similar things. You write, when you're an attorney on the defense side, you write these prayers for relief. Okay? You pray that the court bring you some sort of relief for your client on some sort of issue. All right? And so the reason why I bring all this up is it should drive home to you how important and unique among lay professions the legal profession is. It's also one of the reasons why I love being a lawyer. Okay? I love being a lawyer. All right? I try to be. I don't know if I'm a good lawyer. I try to be a good lawyer, and it's important to try to be a good lawyer, right? Because bad lawyers are like bad priests. They destroy people's lives. Okay? As a good lawyer, you bring mercy to victims, or you get mercy for. Well, all my clients are innocent, but for your client. All right? And even if you don't practice criminal law, let's say you practice some sort of like corporate law or something like that in a courtroom. This is litigation. We're litigators. So in a courtroom, and you're practicing corporate law, and it's like millions of dollars, billions of dollars, there's some dispute. That money, when you represent that client, regardless of however small a piece you have in that litigation, right? That's people's lives and jobs. Okay? You will never know these people or see them. Some corporation wins some sort of case. So all of a sudden they're flush with cash. Or they lose it and they lose cash. All right? That could cause them to go under and lose a bunch of jobs. All right? So it's very important, right, that you are literally every time you get up in front of a judge, every time you get up and do anything as a lawyer, you are doing it for somebody else. Okay, you are doing that for somebody else. And it's a great responsibility, but we shouldn't be afraid of responsibility. And in fact, I think you as Christendom students, who, in my opinion, okay, you as Christendom students should seek out that sort of responsibility. It was the whole reason why this college was founded. All right, the whole reason was so that you would go into professions like this. All right, because while you do that, and if you're a good lawyer anyway, as you're affecting these people, you're a witness. You're a witness to good habits, virtue, okay, and on top of that, when you're excellent at your profession, people will listen to you and care about your opinion. All right? Now, let me go to the next thing. Tips for achieving success. Okay, so here's the thing. You're in college. Go out, have a good time, have a beer if you're of age, and have a beer if you're of age, right? Okay. Enjoy yourself with your friends, okay? Do all of that, okay? But don't forget, okay? Don't forget that how well you do here will have repercussions for you later on in life, all right? I'm going to go into more detail into this here in a second. They'll have repercussions. How much you study, how well you do on your tests, okay? All right? That's important, especially for a profession like this. I'm sorry to say, it's hugely important unless you have some work time, which I'll get to in a second, okay? Your grades here will determine what kind of school you can get into, law school or otherwise, all right? So the best thing that you can do is just read. Read. If you have an assignment, read your assignment. All right, I'm sorry, I probably sound like your parents, I probably sound like professors here, not that much older than you, I'm only 32, all right? But my biggest regret is that there were a lot of times where I was just literally doing nothing when I was here, okay? And it reflected in my grades, which, here's the other thing. Don't be dismayed if you have bad grades. I had terrible grades. Okay? Terrible grades. All right? The law school that I got into, I would not have been able to get into, all right, if I had tried to get into it. Went to George Mason University School of Law, which is now known as Antonin Scalia School of Law. I would not have been able to get into it if I had just gone straight from undergrad to law school, okay? But benefiting me was that I joined the Marine Corps, so thank you, Jennifer, as my wife, okay? So, joined the Marine Corps, been in the Marine Corps 10 years. At that point, I had the opportunity, I was an artillery officer, had the opportunity to deploy as a platoon commander, where I was responsible for 56 men, all right, in a combat zone. What an experience. I mean, I would not trade that for anything in the world, okay? If somebody said, yeah, I had to do that or be a lawyer, I would probably do that. It's a very rare opportunity, and one that you don't have any control over. And I learned a lot from that experience. In the law school I went to, okay, law school I went to Mason, they like people from the military because even if they have bad undergraduate grades, they generally perform because they've learned good habits that they didn't have as an undergrad, okay? And if you go out and you do get a job and you do really well in that job, despite your bad grades, again, this could be in any profession, you excel, you'll still be able to go to law school later because they will respect that whatever happened under your undergrad doesn't matter at that point because you've proven that that's not what defines you. Okay, yeah, great. So 8 and 9, we're coming here at least at the end of this list, if not this list. Daily life, struggles and triumphs. Oh, jeez. Struggling with prosecutors, that's a big one. And because they do they have a lot of power. So I love being a lawyer, all right? But it is a hard life, okay? Because if you're a defense attorney, somebody's life in many ways, was in their hands, okay, assuming that they did what they are accused of doing, that they are alleged to have done, okay, their life and like their life outcome is in your hands, okay, like how the rest of their life goes. I mean, that's up to you. All right, as a prosecutor, again, you have that victim. All right, you have the dead in a homicide case. You have the child, okay, the child in some sort of domestic violence case against a child. You have a woman who's been, who's been raped, okay, sexually assaulted. Okay, you have women and men. All right, you have somebody whose life's been ruined because there's some fraud has been committed against them. All right, or some serious damage has been done to their property and they can't get recompense for it, other than by some sort of satisfaction that the person that did this thing, this evil thing to them, is brought to justice. Okay, you have those victims, right, and you have their them getting recompense, getting justice for the evil done against them in their hands. So they will either have closure or they will never have closure based on potentially your performance. In part, it's also dependent on how much evidence can the state actually get against the accused. But okay, and these are profound responsibilities. Okay, in some ways it's like, Father, I got 5 kids. Okay, I just look at my 5 kids and how well they do it. Like their life outcome, in part, is dependent on them. But in large part also depends on me and how I instilled the right habits in them. Okay, now it's not the exact same thing, but nobody should ever go to fatherhood or motherhood lightly. You should never take that lightly. And the same thing with this profession. It's the same thing with this profession. And, you can think, well, I don't want that responsibility. But again, here's something for you, all right? Who would you rather have that responsibility? Okay? Somebody who's educated like you, all right, with integrity, okay? Somebody who loves the truth, okay? Somebody who loves other people, all right, actually does, or somebody, okay, who frankly has a sort of secular mindset, right? This is a job where, they're just going to get paid. This is a job where they're just trying to make ends meet, and it's not within some sort of greater context, right? They don't see a parallel like I gave, right, between this. It's not, it's obviously not the priesthood, but there's a lot of similarities between it, okay? All right, there's greater context in the seeking of justice in society, and seeking the well-ordering of society, and seeking the common good. Okay, you have a better and stronger perspective. All right? Who better to do that than somebody with an education like what you get here? Additionally, let's say you don't go into litigation. Let's say you don't go into even corporate law. We're all, I would assume, don't raise your hand. Okay, I'm not going to ask you who all is pro-life here, because I don't want to see people not raising their hand. Just kidding. So I know everybody here's pro-life. Everybody here is pro-life, I would assume. Right? Okay, this is Christendom. It's a stupid question. There are stupid questions, that was one of them. So, what getting a law degree can also do for you, whether you pass the bar or not, okay? Whether you take the bar or not, all right? Is it gives you, frankly, more of a voice, all right? More voice. I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to talk a little bit about law schools. But it'll give you more of a voice in certain situations. Okay, so the pro-life movement, all right? Look at these state governments right now that are doing a lot to advance the ball, to move the ball down that court, or the field, to move the ball down the field, the puck down the ice, whatever. I don't really follow sports except for baseball. So, move the ball down the field, all right, for the pro-life movement. And a lot of these people in these state houses, what are they? Who are they? These are attorneys. These are Christian attorneys. These are Catholic attorneys. Look, tonight, go back to your dormitories. Okay, I was going to call them barracks. I am in the military. Go back to your dormitories. They're not barracks. Dormitories. Here you have Wi-Fi now. What an awful idea, but use it to your advantage and research what these state legislatures are doing, okay, in the advancement of the pro-life cause. Now, you could just graduate from here. You could go work up in D.C. in one of these think tanks, okay? But the people who are doing like the real substantive work, all right, the real, I'm telling you, all right, are people, there are some outliers. Most of them are attorneys. A lot of them are attorneys. A lot. Working in some of these think tanks or, one of these Koch foundations or something, but really it's these attorneys in these states who are seizing opportunities when they see them, who are using everything they can to, again, end abortion in this country. Okay? So if that's something you want to do, you can either, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, but I'm telling you, like, a law degree will help you do that better. All right? Do that better. Now, there are really, hold on, let me see, where am I at? Okay, I got a few more minutes. I do want to, because it's a habit when a prosecutor gets up, I have to contradict something. It's just a terrible habit I've got as defense counsel. So, because while they are, again, doing great things for society, you don't always agree. That's part of being a lawyer, right? So, two things I really want to kind of hit on, all right, here at the end. First of all, I'll say that I agree with him. The predictions that they tell you about getting a job are nonsense. It is largely dependent on two things: your grade, how normal of a person you are, okay? And on top of that, your network, all right? Your network. So you go to a school in a big city, probably going to be easier to get a job in that city, all right? If you're a normal person, people are like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to put my reputation on the line to recommend you for this job, okay? So the predictions are nonsense, but you can do things to make it less nonsensical. All right, you can do some strategic things with the law schools that you apply to, okay? And also while you're at the law school, trying to befriend professors, all right? I'm friends with, 3, 4, 5 of my professors. I still communicate with them regularly, once every couple of months, okay? We're just friends. In fact, one of them, I'm getting out of the Marine Corps this summer, has hooked me up with a job where I'll be clerking for a federal judge. And the only way the way I got that was through hard work in law school and getting good grades there, all right, and impressing this professor, but then also through having that relationship, okay? And so while it is nonsense, and you could end up, with a lot of debt and a lot of failure, not finding a job. Right? I mean, that's the same anywhere. I mean, who knows? You might graduate from here, right, and not have a job, okay, and be looking for one. You can graduate from anywhere, and that can happen. All right, totally out of your control. Totally out of your control. Okay, sometimes you can do a lot to kind of prepare against it, to kind of set yourself, prepare yourself, protect yourself against that sort of outcome. Okay, and doing some of the things I just mentioned. All right. So how restoring all things in Christ. Let's talk about that. All right, let's talk about restoring all things in Christ. So we are Roman Catholics, right? Except for maybe some random Ukrainians or Melkites out there. We are, I don't know if any Clarks, are any Clarks here? No? Okay. So we are Roman Catholics. So I'm going to bring a Roman term in here, the cursus honorum, the course of honor, right? You got to get these certain jobs in order to be, a consul, okay? Do not be afraid of seeking success, okay? Being ambitious for the sake of money, that's probably not good. Being ambitious for the sake of something other than, right, the greater glory of God, okay? Something for the sake of something else than restoring all things in Christ, maybe not so good. But you can be ambitious, right? You can be ambitious for the sake of restoring all things in Christ. Because you're going to do a much better job of doing that, of getting that done, restoring what you want to restore, what you're asked to restore, by being excellent, okay? By working hard, all right? You got to work hard, and you still might fail, okay? It's about seeking success. It's about seeking excellence, okay? For the sake of these greater goods. It's not necessarily about actually achieving the success. But don't kid yourself, okay? People fail all the time and say, don't put the work in, right? If you got to make yourself, make sure that if you do end up failing in some way in life, it's not because of a lack of effort. So that when you are done and all said and done, you can say, yeah, well, I fought the good fight, okay? I fought the good fight. Now I bring up again the cursus honorum again, okay? So, a lot of politicians are lawyers, okay? A lot of people in high government office, appointed government positions, are lawyers. Tons of them, okay? Tons of them. All right, and this goes back to thinking about what you want to do. Now, what you want to do might change, but I would recommend, because of the education you get here, because of the mission of this college, you should absolutely be thinking about that course of honor. About what does it take to actually get there? Okay? What does it take to actually get there? Doing well here? Maybe. Doing well after you graduate from here? Absolutely. Okay? Because how else are you going to make change? Yeah, make change. Well, other than with registering, coins and things. How else are you going to make change in this world? All right? Except by being excellent. All right? You're not. Okay? And it's hard work to do that. All right? But you can do it. And you're perfectly situated to do it as future Christendom alums. All right? You just have to have the right mentality. You don't even have to have the best habits, because building habits is a constant effort. Okay? Now, I love being a lawyer because here's the, let me bring up Tolkien real quick, right? I think he was the one, like, history is just, like, history of the church or whatever is like a long line of failures or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. Again, I don't have my actual notes with me. But here's the thing. People are like, we fail all the time. We should be expected to fail in this life. Great. But look at the name of your college, right? Christendom. Did Warren Carroll just be like, Christendom, that sounds like a really good word. I'm just, it's like a new word that I'm just going to make up. And no, it's based on Christendom, Western civilization, which was created by success, which was preserved, was preserved by the efforts, the efforts of people, of men and women, all right, who literally offered their lives up for the sake of maintaining all things in Christ and restoring and keeping all things in Christ. The Cluny monks, Cluny monks. Hey, the protection of all these ancient texts in Byzantium. Byzantium was a den of iniquity, but those guys on the wall, the wall of Byzantium before it fell in the 1500s. 1,000 years protecting, the treasures of Western civilization, just in time for, Byzantium to fall, Constantinople to fall, and then of course, those texts get to Europe right as the printing press, thank God, was invented, right after it got invented. It was those texts with, Aristotle, the ancient philosophers, ancient fathers of the church, theologians, so that we can maintain and continue our patrimony, so you can have subject matters for your theses. All right, they were doing a great service, but it wasn't. It is a long series of failures, but it's also a long series of successes. Okay, right? What are we asked to do something futile here to restore all things in Christ? No, we're being asked to do something that has been done in the past in the West. Has been done in the past in the West, and you can do it. And I tell you what, you can do it as a lawyer because it's a great profession. A lot of responsibility. Don't be afraid of responsibility. All right? Because the people that are picking it up probably can't handle it as well as you can, given your education here. Thank you.